love with it, and you're like, we're pretty good at doing the robot. We should do the robot and Balboa Park. So, yeah. It's really difficult. I mean, we've been doing it for a couple years now. I don't want to say, it doesn't really get much easier, but you know when to just turn it off. Like if we were all tense the entire time during a show, we wouldn't make it past 10 minutes. Like most of the time we're actually not doing the robot, we're just standing still, we're keeping a very statuesque pose.
And what we learned early on is, there's no reason we can't become more fluid for a little bit as long as we always go back to that stationary or isolating different parts of our bodies. Because, we've been doing this for about 7 years or so. We've definitely had days where we did way too much. We were like sore the next day, or we're just so exhausted. But the more shows and stuff we do, we know how much energy we need to have a similar energy at the beginning of the show and at the end of the show, so we're not just like, okay, I give up, kind of deal. So that's been the main challenge, I think, going from performing on the street to a concert where, you kind of need to be consistent the entire time on stage rather than trying to play 20 minutes for for a whole 6 hours slot. It's just a completely different beast. But yeah, isolation is the key thing, I think, with the robot pantomime, is figuring out what you can move and what you need to keep engaged and what you can actually relax so you're not hurting yourself or spending energy that you don't necessarily need to.
And it's really just finding, putting it into your muscle memory. So, you do focus on something, choose something to focus on first and get that down. But one of the first things I did was my fingers, I just wanted to make them very expressive, so I just kept working the finger muscles, and now I can do a bunch of finger stuff. I don't do it as much these days, but, you just
You work
start
those finger muscles on the guitar, though.
Yeah, I guess. But I would just say, start with something first. Isolate something. You want to focus on your hands, your torso. I think a lot of our movement right now is just because it's so effective is just kind of going back and forth like that.
Yeah, well, I think what we notice, especially when we first started doing the mime class, most people, including us, doing multiple things at a time is really hard to get your brain around. Maybe if you had some performance experience or like movement classes or anything like that, dance or whatnot. But it's a learning process to be able to think about multiple things, because at first you actually have to consciously think about it. Eventually it's just, you're doing it when you don't even, after 7 years, you don't even know what you're doing. It just happens naturally. Just like playing an instrument or whatnot. You're training your body to do something that normally you'd have to put some thought to. But yeah, basically, so you don't have to try to do multiple things at a time. That's where most people kind of fail in the beginning and they kind of get frustrated with it. It's easier just to move one part at a time. And there's a great exercise that we did in mime class where we would start in one state and have to end up in somewhere else, but we could only move one part at a time. So that's a good way to train your brain how to compartmentalize your body, because usually most stuff we do requires every single piece of our body and just happens naturally. But when you're trying to recreate it to do robot movement, you kind of have to reinvent the wheel, I guess, a little bit. So that's probably the best thing you can probably do, is just start with one, almost think about it's one muscle at a time that you're moving, things to. Like if you want to pick up the cup, it's like, move your hand, move forward. Kind of like a claw machine. And hey, that could be a robot too, until, you figure it out. But heck, we've seen people who've gotten really good at this. I guess the longer we're doing this, the longer some fans have been fans, and they're like really good now at it.
We don't do it we don't really pop and lock, because, those guys go all out for short periods of time. If you ever seen a guy in the street doing the robot, usually it's really fast, really cool, and it looks awesome for 10 minutes, and then he's panting in the corner after. It looks great. We can't do that. We have to keep it. A 2-hour show, it's impossible.
Sometimes we'll save some of that for when we're doing videos and stuff, and because we know we can always just cut. For live shows and stuff, it's kind of blending what we can sustain for an hour and a half.
Oh yeah, you guys should stretch when you do this.
Oh yeah, stretching. Rule 1, stretch.
Hydration is key.
And then rule 2.
Vitamins.
I didn't stretch this morning.
Picking up those guns and those phones and Soda cans really hurt.
Oh, they're talking about your muscles.
We got about 15 minutes.
Let's take some Q&A. Let's do that.
Steve Negretti,
Steve?
our master of questions.
Yellow! Chameleon.
First of all, I would like to say I never thought that you guys were three people. I saw a rabbit without the brace on. I was like, found love. Okay, this is a question for Sam. I see you a lot of times when you're just standing on one leg, and then you have to hold it for like a really long time. How do you do that? You have yoga, practice that?
Just a natural gift. I feel like I just threw that at you during a show. I'm just good at stuff. I have to look at something definitely, and sometimes it's a fan, and then they start like shifting in their seat. And I'm like, ah. So luckily there's a nice big exit sign in the end of the hall. I was looking at that. It's whatever. It's just a thing, you know.
Sam doesn't make mistakes.
What?
Sam doesn't make mistakes.
It's true.
Considering the time lapse, how long-ish does APS actually do?
About an hour to 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between you guys do makeup on stage as well as you promo, like photos, have your makeup changed?
Between live shows and promo photos, yeah, I mean, we might put in a little more effort for promo photos. It depends on, I mean, it's usually the same. Most people can't tell, but
Yeah.
if we know there's going to be a high-definition camera on us, you know, we're going to take a little extra time to make sure there's no, like from 10 feet away on stage, no one's going to be able to see the little bit of skin showing in between the lines or whatnot. But
it's minuscule at best. I generally do about the same amount of detail. I mean, it's changed so much though, so it's. But yeah, I don't know.
I changed my costume. I can't wear a glove on this hand because I have to operate Gigi, and because everything seals and I can't take my gloves off, I can't, so I put gloves on. And I also tighten my corset to, unbelievable, tightness to get that figure. But live, I can't do that because I need to breathe.
oh, you also have to, when we do green screen stuff, you have to
Oh yeah.
paint your makeup blue.
Yeah, I have to. I think I might try a different color because it's just so close to green.
Yeah.
Like maybe purple or something. But yeah, I have to do the oxidization like a really outrageous color or something. Just anything but green because we're on a green screen. Then we have to color correct it.
Yeah, it worked. We did it in one video. Another one, it was too close to green that we just left it blue.
Prepare for Boarding, the SteamWorld Heist music video. That one we just left it because it looked kind of cool. Like it looked like spacey, so it's just blue makeup.
Next question.
Do you ever study real animatronics like at Chuck E. Cheese's or something?
Do we ever study real animatronics like at Chuck E. Cheese's?
Oh gosh, yeah. Oh man. What did I? Oh my. Okay. I don't know. I don't have an answer for you, but there's something that I was definitely getting. Yes, definitely. Oh yeah. Osmo. The little like Honda robot stuff. All that. I mean, all of the stuff that's coming out, and then those silly like. Wipes that you can buy in Japan. They're just like sitting there like, and they're like, ah.
Great moments with Mr. Lincoln and the Hall of Presidents.
Oh yeah, Disneyland.
So Disneyland, they're the best looking ones, but they're also the best looking robotic ones because they're so old, and that's kind of obviously if we were smooth, we would just act like humans and be like, yeah, we're robots. It's just new technology makes it look so fluid.
Which is probably what the reality would be.
Yeah, but. Yeah, I mean, if you see, like, in Disneyland, California, they had which was that one guy, Tom Servo or whatever? He's, like, super fluid, and the only thing that makes him look like a robot is because he's, like, wearing a transparent lab coat and you can see all his innards and whatnot.
Well, I think, robots, they don't need to do that tricky movement because it's a robot. And it tricks you, like, wow, that's so fluid. It almost looks... We used to know this fair performer whose name was Rocket the Robot, and he had an extension up on his... I guess torso. The torso was actually on his shoulders,